In a shocking twist of fate, the janitor's sick daughter saves a drowning millionaire's son. Mia stood in the empty classroom, the smell of disinfectant and old books clinging to her. As she scrubbed the floor, memories of her mother's laughter echoed in her mind, tinged with the bitterness of impending loss. Her mom's illness weighed heavily on her heart, pulling at her like a lead anchor. Each stroke of the mop took her a little further from the academic dreams she cherished and the secure future she craved. Instead of counting down the days to graduation, she counted the breaths her mother took. Would she ever hear her mom clap for her, proud of her college acceptance? Just as the sunlight peeked through the cracked window, shining bright rays onto her stained sneakers, an eerie hollowness filled her chest. College loomed like a distant star, but how could she focus on that when daily chores consumed her? Keeping up with the responsibilities of caring for her mother while fighting to keep her grades up felt like an impossible juggling act. She had to be strong, not just for herself, but for the woman who had given her everything. Being the daughter of a janitor often made Mia feel like an outsider, dismissed and forgotten. But it also ignited a fire within her. Yet there were days when doubt crept in. Was it ungratefulness to dream of a place beyond the confines of her small town? What if she reached for that star and fell? Her mom needed her, and she couldn't risk losing the only family she had. As Mia wrapping up her shift, she chided herself for hesitating. In the affluent part of town, kids like Jake flaunted their privileges, while she fought for every scrap of kindness. The weight of their differences swelled within her, bouncing among her thoughts like a pinball. Shouldn't she just stay in her lane? Once the day's work was done, she immersed herself in studies, using school as a refuge. Yet her mind drifted beyond the classroom walls, picturing freedom, picturing hope. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. The tension that Mia felt only mounted as the rumors of her act of bravery spread throughout the town. Her heart twisted with every hushed conversation she overheard at school. How would anyone understand her struggle, her burden? They painted her as a hero, but what did that make her really? A savior lost in the eyes of a boy like Jake whose world was a mere whisper away from hers? As she lay on her rooftop that evening, staring into the vastness of an indifferent sky, everything felt tangled. The stars seemed to mock her dreams, visible, unreachable. Each glimmer reminded her of her suffocating reality. And then her phone buzzed with an unexpected call from Jake. The moment hung heavy in the air, charged with unsaid words, a bridge over the divide that both terrified and intrigued her. Could there be an escape route from the lives they were expected to live? Or would this call threaten to tear apart the fragile threads of all she knew? Anxiety gnawed at her insides as she pressed the phone to her ear, waiting for words that could shatter everything. Mia's heart raced as she held the phone against her ear. The world around her faded, replaced by the sound of Jake's hesitant voice. "Mia, is this a bad time?" The warmth in his tone pulled her, but she felt a chill run down her spine. Would he recognize the weight of her life pressing down on her? "No, it's fine," she replied, her voice steady, though her mind churned. His casual concern intensified the chasm between their lives. She was dictated by the clock of responsibilities, while he basked in leisure. Yet here they were, on the same line, however briefly. Silence stretched before the conversation took shape. He expressed gratitude for her heroic act, his admiration palpable. Mia inhaled deeply, knowing he saw only the surface of who she was. She wasn't just a savior. She was the girl who scrubbed floors and worried about affording medicine for her mother. She wanted to share that truth, Yet words failed her. "Can we meet up?" Jake's question jolted her. "You know, to talk?" The suggestion sparked a mix of excitement and dread. Did she dare to step outside the boundary set by her circumstances? What would they even talk about? The wealthy son and the janitor's daughter? Her mind raced with the implications. What would others think? Perhaps they would whisper, speculating about the unlikely friendship blooming. The very notion felt ridiculous, yet tantalizing. What if this connection pushed her towards the future she always imagined? She hesitated. "Okay, but I can only do it after school." "Sounds good. I'll pick you up." After hanging up, the stillness on her rooftop settled like a thick fog. The possibilities of their meeting invaded her thoughts. Part of her yearned for it, while another part bristled at the prospect of exposure. Did she dare to hope Jake might see her for who she was, beyond the janitor's daughter? Would he look past the scarcity of her life and acknowledge her ambitions? As she returned to her chores, Mia's movements became more intentional, each action embedding fresh resolve within her. With each sweep of the broom, she rehearsed her words, envisioning how to convey the nuances of her existence. Yet the weight of her reality surged to the surface. The memory of the phone call reminded her of the very real things she must deal with. Her mother's illness loomed over her with relentless menace. The following morning dragged, and Mia couldn't shake the anticipation that buzzed like static electricity around her. She sat through classes in a daze, her mind drifting back to possibilities. Would Jake find her ordinary? Would they share moments of laughter? Or would the gravity of her situation bring their budding friendship to a grinding halt? When the school day ended and Mia stepped outside, the air felt electric. She spotted Jake's car idling by the entrance, a stark contrast to the beaten path of her life. He flashed a welcoming smile, a warmth that both soothed and unsettled her. Climbing into the plush seat felt surreal, as if she were crossing into a different world that was never meant for her. The car's engine roared to life, and with it, Mia felt the tension of both excitement and dread. They began to drive, and a single thought morphed into a mantra in her mind. Who would she be once they arrived at their unknown destination? As conversation unfolded, an unexpected question slipped from Jake's lips, unraveling her thoughts like a tightly wound thread. "What do you really want, Mia?" The intensity of the moment paralyzed her. It echoed louder than anything she had faced before. It pierced her facade, demanding more than just superficial words. She needed a moment to breathe, to choose her answer carefully as shadows of doubt clung to her consciousness. What would she dare to reveal about her desires when everything pivoted on balancing personal ambition against familial obligation? The truth was murky and profound, and now she was on the brink of a personal revelation that could alter everything between them. Would she share her dreams and risk their fragile connection, or retreat into the shadows where comfort resided? As the road stretched ahead, Mia found herself staring out the window, weighing her decision against the weight of the world she had come to know. This moment could reshape her life's narrative, and she realized she was at the intersection of vulnerability and courage. But before she could find the words, fate intervened yet again, leaving the air heavy with unspoken truths as the car turned a sharp corner, their destinies colliding in an entirely unforeseen way. The car jolted violently as the tires screeched against the slick asphalt, and Mia instinctively grabbed the dashboard for support. In the blur of panic, her heart thudded louder than the roar of the engine. The world outside rushed past in a dizzying kaleidoscope of colors, merging into a chaotic backdrop to her spiraling thoughts. Jake's voice pierced through the haze, breaking the tension that gripped her. "Mia, are you okay?" His concern flowed over her like a lifeline, pulling her back into reality. The sudden stop had rattled her, but it was more than the abrupt turn of the car. It was the jarring realization that the world could flip in an instant, just as it had for her when her mother fell ill. "I'm fine," she breathed, though uncertainty quivered in her voice. Her eyes darted to the road, the trees blurring past in an echo of her own life racing ahead. They had taken a sharp curve into unknown territory, and every instinct warned her that the journey was off the rails. Jake glanced at her, the concern in his eyes palpable. "You sure? We can go back if you want." "No, let's keep going." The resolve surged within her unexpectedly. What was she afraid of? The road? The conversation? Or the truth hidden deep inside her? His hesitation melted into understanding as he navigated back into the rhythm of driving. Mia breathed slowly, trying to quiet the tempest within. This moment pushed her to confront the fundamental question she had avoided. What did she really want? When they finally arrived at a trendy cafe filled with vibrant colors and lively chatter, Mia felt the shift in environment swallow her. It felt foreign, almost never meant for someone like her, a girl scrubbing floors and managing bills. Yet here she was, seated across from Jake, the lightness of his world juxtaposed with the heaviness she carried. As they settled over steaming mugs, she felt a swell of questions, each one punctuated by the warmth of the coffee rising between them. She could see the eager impatience in Jake's expression, but a part of her recoiled at the idea of laying bare her desires. What if her aspirations felt childish or unrealistic in contrast to his world of privilege? "Mia?" His soft voice interrupted her reverie, coaxing her attention. "I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but—" He leaned in, his sincerity clear. "I honestly want to know. You're such an incredible person. You saved me. You did something brave. And I guess I just want to understand what fuels that bravery." His words ignited a flicker of hope, an invitation to share her truth. "Bravery?" She chuckled nervously, running her fingers along the edge of her cup. "I wouldn't exactly call it that. I'm just trying to manage everything thrown at me. It's hard to describe what I want when I'm busy figuring out how to get by. Just take a moment." His reassuring smile settled her nerves, forcing her to drop her guard a little. "You saved me. Surely you know what you want deep down. What does it look like? What would make you feel free?" The question sparked a fire of urgency within her. Time had recalibrated the expectations of her life, and the weight of her mother's illness lingered heavily on her shoulders. Yet something about Jake's openness was disarming. It begged the question. Could she speak her truth without fear of ridicule? "I want to go to college," she finally blurted out, feeling the words spill forth with a power she hadn't expected. "I want to study medicine so I can help people, just like I've had to help my mom. I want to make a difference, not just exist in this cycle." The honesty settled between them like a fragile truth, both illuminating and terrifying. It was her genuine desire, a spark against the backdrop of her laborious life. Jake's eyes widened, the intensity of her declaration prompting a wave of admiration that softened his features. "You'll get there," he encouraged, the conviction in his voice emboldening her. "You already are. Look at you, pursuing what matters amidst everything." Mia felt the flicker of hope grow brighter, yet it danced precariously close to a cliff of doubt. Could she really achieve all this? Would the universe allow it? Or would reality clamp down harshly on her dreams as it often had? "What if I fail?" she confessed, vulnerability creeping into her voice. The fear gnawed at her insides, more potent than any physical pain she faced. "What if I'm not strong enough?" His expression turned serious, reflecting an earnestness that made her tremble slightly. "Mia, no one ever finds strength without facing challenges. It's okay to be uncertain. Just promise me you won't give up on yourself, regardless of how hard it gets." Those words wrapped around her heart like a tether, tying hope to determination. She had a choice, to chase her dreams or to allow fear to imprison her. As they sipped coffee and shared fragments of their lives, Mia felt something shift between them, an emerging bond forged through resilience and vulnerability. Yet beneath this newfound connection, a stirring danger lurked. The old reality seemed less forgiving with each passing moment. Unbeknownst to them, as the sun dipped below the horizon, a storm loomed on the fringes of her life, threatening to disrupt the fragile balance she attempted to forge. Mia could sense it, the impending confrontation with elements of her past she could no longer avoid. As they walked out into the evening air, her mind raced with a blend of exhilaration and anxiety. She had taken the leap, but would she be equipped for what awaited her next? "Are you ready?" Jake asked, stirring her from thought as they stepped back into the bustling sounds of the city. Mia's pulse quickened with a blend of excitement and fear. "I honestly have no idea," she replied, glancing back toward her uncertain future. "But I'm willing to find out," she whispered to herself, an internal promise igniting her resolve, just as the sky darkened with impending storms. Little did she know, the events of the night would shake the foundation beneath them both, leading to a defining moment neither had anticipated. As the cool evening air wrapped around them, Mia took a few deep breaths, attempting to regain her composure. She and Jake walked the bustling streets, shadows of people flowing past, laughter and chatter mingling into a rhythmic pulse of urban life. Each step felt like a push against the fears that clawed at her confidence. Despite the vibrant scene unfolding around her, Mia felt encased in a bubble of her thoughts. The dream she had spoken about, the journey into medicine, loomed before her, a shimmering but intimidating path. It was one thing to articulate it, another to transform hope into reality. She quickly glanced at Jake, who was animatedly pointing out various cafes and shops, swept up in the energy of the city. Something about his ease sparked both inspiration and resentment within her. How could he remain so lighthearted while she wrestled with the bitter burdens of responsibility? She had proven herself capable before, but this ambition required a different kind of strength, one that demanded faith in herself above all else. "Hey, let's grab something to eat," Jake suggested, snapping his fingers as if to shake her from her reverie. "I've heard the sandwiches here are amazing. You'll love it." Mia forced a smile, the tension still gnawing at her chest. "Yeah, food sounds good." As they settled at a small outdoor table, the weight of their conversation from earlier pressed on her. She fiddled with her napkin, her mind swirling with uncertainty. What did freedom in her personal life even mean now that she had lifted the veil on her ambitions? With each passing moment, the consequences of her decisions crystallized in her mind. If she pursued this path, it would require sacrifices, maybe even sacrifices she wasn't ready to make. Their food arrived, and Jake started talking about an upcoming school event. She listened half-heartedly, too tangled in her thoughts to engage fully. The long-standing desire to step out of her circumstances clashed with the latest reality of overwhelming expenses, care for her mother, and now the fear of potential failure. Would going to college mean leaving everything behind? Could she, guilt-free, chase something that felt unattainable? "Mia?" Jake's voice pulled her from her spiral. "What's up? You seem miles away." She hesitated. The truth lingered on her tongue, but revealing her inner turmoil felt too vulnerable. Would he still see her as the strong person he admired if he knew how deeply afraid she was? Instead, she leaned into the known, searching for a distraction. "Just thinking about everything," she admitted, trying to sound casual. "Like how challenging college will be?" he attempted. There was a gentle concern in his voice. "Trust me, I get it. I mean, we all do. Any transition can look daunting." Touched by his empathy, a flicker of honesty emerged from her, the urge to unravel her convoluted thoughts. "It's more than just college, Jake. It's the weight of everything back home. My mom, she depends on me. What if I let her down?" Each word felt like shedding armor, exposing a part of herself she had guarded fiercely. The warmth in Jake's eyes deepened, and he leaned in closer. "Mia, listen, my family is far from perfect. I've felt suffocated by expectations myself, but I believe you can juggle that. You just have to stay true to yourself." His confidence sparked something within her, a confused blend of resolution and dread.
The thought of juggling her oldest duty while pursuing a dream felt Sisyphean in nature. A sudden image of her mother recovering, revealing a proud smile while Mia donned a white lab coat, flickered in her mind. Would that vision be enough to guide her? Before she could respond, the sharp ring of a phone sliced through the air. Jake glanced at the screen, his expression shifting from eagerness to something darker. "I have to take this. Just a sec." Mia nodded absently, and as Jake stepped aside, her eyes drifted across the street. In that moment, her surroundings blurred into the background, the sounds of wind and people fading as she collided with the truth that had been brewing beneath. This wasn't just about her ambition, it was about redefining her life in a way that honored her sacrifices. She could sense the impending storm brewing, a figurative manifestation of her fears, but also a profound reality check. Strength did not lie only in independence, it also resided in connection with those we care for. Perhaps she could find a way to carve out a path that encapsulated both. As Jake returned, his brow furrowed. "Sorry about that. It seems things are getting hectic back at home." He paused, scrutinizing her expression. "What's wrong? You look different." In that instant, she recognized it, the dawning realization. Mia straightened her posture, the extra weight falling away as clarity washed over her. "Jake, can we talk about plans? Not just for me, but I think my family's situation needs a reevaluation. I might need some guidance here." Jake's gaze sharpened, reflecting curiosity and respect. "Of course, I'm here for whatever you need." But somewhere in her heart, a sense of foreboding grew, anchoring her thoughts to her spiraling ambition. What would this newfound communication mean when the storms finally broke? What realizations would emerge when the ties woven from fear, love, and hope began to unravel? As they continued to talk, a storm was looming, somewhere in her life. A dark cloud ready to drop heavy rain, testing her resolve in ways that could change everything she had just begun to understand. The next morning, dawn crept haltingly over the city, the sunlight spilling into Mia's small bedroom like liquid gold. She shifted under the covers, acutely aware that the moments once snatched by sleep were increasingly consumed by her spiraling thoughts. Today marked the beginning of a new chapter, and the time had come for actionable steps. Mia pushed herself from her bed, the familiar chill of the wooden floor grounding her. She stood, taking a moment to gather her resolve. The weariness of doubt still clung to her, a nagging whisper in the back of her mind. Yet the clarity from last night's conversation lingered, reminding her that sacrifice and ambition need not be mutually exclusive. The resources of the local community,
College, stacked themselves high on her desk like unfiled papers. Brochures sprawled before her, a tangled web of different majors, financial aid packets, and admission requirements. With each glance, she felt the weight of her ambitions pressing down, each option a fork in the road. Today, she would sit down and dissect each possibility, laying bare her options while mapping a strategy that included not just herself, but her family. Mia resolved to kickstart the day with tangible action. The kitchen was quiet, her mother still asleep, the rhythmic sound of her breathing a background melody. As Mia prepared a simple breakfast, she felt an unsettling mix of fear and determination whispering through her. She wanted nothing but to shield her mother from her own insecurities. Could she really embark on a journey into a medical career without abandoning the essence of who they were together? After breakfast, she walked to the local library, the weight of the plans she was crafting heavy in her bag. Upon arrival, the musty scent of books danced with the chill of the air conditioning, instantly settling her nerves. She found a secluded corner and spread out the application forms, each piece of paper a testament to the obstacles they needed to overcome. As her pen glided over the forms, a thought struck her sharply. What if she applied for scholarships specifically designed to assist students from backgrounds like hers? This could allow her to lessen the financial burden while showing her commitment as a student, a step closer to her dream. The realization sparked a fire inside her. A sense of urgency took hold.
She dove deeper into research, searching for every possible resource. Fellowships, grants, and unique competitions, each success story igniting a flicker of belief within her. She scribbled notes, outlining deadlines and criteria. Soon, a newfound confidence began to unfurl inside her. With each small victory, she felt her past taking on a different hue, less encumbering, more of a foundation. Suddenly, her phone vibrated, jarring her focus. It was a text from Jake, asking if they could meet up later that afternoon to discuss her ideas. A flutter of apprehension collided with the burgeoning confidence within her. She knew his support could buoy her resolve, yet she also grappled with the weight of vulnerability that admitting her ambitions involved. The afternoon brought a cool breeze, brushing the leaves gently in the park where she had agreed to meet Jake. They settled on a bench, the subtle sounds of children laughing and dogs barking creating a backdrop of warmth. Mia found herself articulating her ideas, the scholarships, her plans to seek out mentors, and even setting her sights on part-time work that wouldn't interfere with her studies. Jake listened intently, his eyes reflecting a cadence of admiration and sophistication, like a mirror to her potential. Yet as she laid out her roadmap, a shadow of doubt crept back in. Would she continue to juggle her obligations at home with her newfound ambition? Mia, you're
Thinking bigger than before, and that's incredible. But have you thought how this might affect your mom? Jake nodded thoughtfully, eyes narrowed in contemplation. You're planning for a future, but sometimes those we care about also need to be part of our decisions. It's about balance. His words sliced through her fortified thoughts. Choosing to confront her mother about her aspirations could unearth emotions she had stifled. Would her mom understand? More importantly, would she support a decision that signified Mia's desire for independence? The horizon of her ambition expanded, but looming above it remained her home, her past, the choices she had yet to face. Confronting her mother was a step she didn't know she was prepared to take. As they wrapped up, the park darkened slightly, the fading light mirroring her inner turmoil. Mia looked at Jake, his face filled with both encouragement and challenge. You need to be honest with your mom, he said gently. It's time to have that conversation. You can't carry this alone. Mia nodded, a mixture of determination and fear knotting in her stomach. The time had come to embrace a deeper truth, one that pulled her in directions she had only dared to consider in her dreams. Yet the question lingered. Could she confront her past without shattering the fragile support of her family? The weight of her ambition grew heavier as she realized that some storms require the strength of unity to weather. Haunting doubt threatened to drown her resolve as she prepared for a conversation that could chart the course of her life. With a heart full of trepidation and a head swimming with possibilities, Mia knew a critical decision awaited just beyond the horizon. Would she step into the storm ahead, ready to face what it meant to redefine her ambitions? Mia spent the following morning in a daze, her mind oscillating between excitement and a paralyzing dread. The sun streamed through her window, the brightness now almost abrasive, while her thoughts remained shrouded in the thickness of uncertainty. Every corner of her small, welcoming home echoed with memories. Her mother's laughter, their shared glances of understanding, the weight of untold sacrifices hovering in the air. Today, she would have the conversation with her mother that could either bring them closer together or sever the bonds holding them. She paced the living room, rehearsing her words silently, turning them over and over in her head like familiar grains of sand. She envisioned the moment her mother would look up from her good book and ask what was bothering her. Would she have the courage to voice her dreams, or would doubt take center stage yet again? After a quick breakfast, Mia made her way to her mother's bedroom door, heart pounding, rehearsed lines gripped tightly in her mind. She gathered her thoughts, feeling the familiar surge of determination. With a deep breath, she rapped lightly on the door, the sound almost timid. "Mom?" she called out, her voice unsteady against the still air. "Come in, sweetheart," her mother replied, the warmth radiating from her tone.
Mia opened the door, revealing a burst of sunlight that cast long shadows across the room. Her mother was seated at her vanity, brushing her hair. The sight brought an unexpected sense of comfort. "Mia, what's on your mind?" her mother asked, turning around. Swallowing her claustrophobic fears, Mia took the plunge. "I've been thinking a lot about my future," she began, the words tumbling out in a rush. "About school, about being in the medical field." Her mother's expression underwent a rapid transformation. Mia noted the flicker of concern that danced across her face. "What do you mean?" Mia felt the weight of every unsaid word pressing down on her. "I want to apply for programs and scholarships. It's not just a whim. I want to help others. I think I could make a difference." Her mother's brow furrowed, revealing the churning emotions beneath her stoic facade. "Mia, I know you have such big dreams," she said gently. "But what about us? What about me?" A tremor underlined her last question, exposing vulnerabilities Mia had desperately tried to protect. Feeling the knot in her stomach tighten, Mia pressed on. "I can't let our lives pull me back. I have to push forward for both of us. I need to invest in my future. I can't do it without discussing it with you first." The silence that followed filled the room like a thick fog, suffocating, yet charged with the potential for revelation. Her mother took a shuddering breath, eyes glistening. "Mia, I've always wanted you to have those opportunities. But what if something goes wrong? What if this ambition pulls you away from home?" Mia's resolve started to erode under the weight of her mother's fears. But as she looked into those familiar eyes, she felt a fierce determination rising anew. "Mom, I don't want to abandon you. I want us to grow, together. It's not about leaving, it's about expanding. I promise, I'll make sure you're part of this journey." Her mother's gaze softened, the fear giving way to an understanding that had been buried beneath years of worry. "If this means that much to you, then I trust you, Mia. It scares me, but I can't hold you back either." A rush of relief surged through Mia, weaving itself tightly with the remaining threads of doubt. She hadn't expected encouragement so quickly. Perhaps her mother's initial fears could give way to support. But the shadows of uncertainty still loomed around her ambitions, threatening to pull her down. What did it mean to pursue her dream while honoring her family ties? As they sat together, newfound understanding bridging the gap, Mia knew her journey was just beginning, yet it was fraught with complex emotions. Yet another weight clawed at her conscience. She had promised herself to seek out mentorship, but now she would have to balance the new expectations she had set. Would she be able to forge connections in her field while maintaining her responsibilities at home? As they talked further and began exploring practical steps for enrollment and financial aid, a drive for clarity took root within her. She felt a void of possibility opening up around her, inviting. But the real questions remained unanswered, stinging her with urgency. What new challenges would come from this balance between aspiration and family support? Would Mia find the mentorship she sought while staying true to her commitments? With choices ahead and the weight of her renewed ambition forging its path, Mia understood she was on the cusp of a new journey, one that demanded both courage and resolve. Would she navigate the treacherous waters of her ambitions without sinking? Mia's heart raced as she sat with her mother amidst brochures for medical programs scattered across the table. Each paper held an inkling of potential, yet they also pressed against her ribs like a vice, reminding her of the risks she was about to undertake. This conversation had solidified her desire in a way nothing else had, but the reality of financing and studying seemed daunting. "Let's start with understanding the requirements," her mother suggested, her voice steady but still fragile from earlier uncertainties. "What do you want? A college degree? A certification?" "I want to go for a full program, Mom," Mia stated resolutely. The words, once swirling in her mind, now felt substantial. She had an image of herself in a lab coat, advocating for patients, navigating the complexities of healthcare. It was an exhilarating thought, but it brought with it a wave of self-doubt. What if she failed?
As they browsed the courses, Mia noticed the subtle awe in her mother's gaze. It sparked a realization. This was more than just a pathway for her. It was a legacy of hope, a future they could create together. But that nagging fear loomed larger. A sense of inadequacy gnawed at her. I should really look for someone I can connect with in the field, maybe a mentor, she mused aloud, trying to contain her restlessness. Her mother nodded, affirming the importance of guidance, while apprehensive eyes lingered on Mia. "What if you don't find someone?" her mother finally asked, biting her lip apprehensively. The question hung heavily between them, each syllable laden with unspoken fears. "What if I do?" Mia challenged herself, her pulse either quickening in rebellion against doubt or embracing ambition. "I've been thinking, could I reach out to the local hospital? Maybe they have programs for high school students?" The idea sparked a flurry of potential actions in her mind. Connecting with professionals at the hospital would provide not only valuable insights into medical careers, but also open doors she had never considered before. With newfound resolve, she felt the flicker of excitement replace some of the earlier fear. However, just as quickly as hope ignited, it flickered. What if she reached out and got no response? What if, despite her best efforts, she found herself rejected, alone, swallowed by the suffocating limitations of her insecurities? "Mom," she hesitated, voice steadying. "What do you think? Should I go for it?" "Sweetheart, you've already taken one big step by talking to me about your dreams. I believe in you," her mother encouraged. And though the words warmed Mia's chest, fear coiled in her stomach. Her mother's confidence felt like a fragile bubble, one that could easily burst under pressure. That evening, after clearing the table and offering her mother a reassuring smile, Mia retreated to her room. The world outside her window felt vast and intimidating. She sat on her bed, her laptop resting on her knees like a heavy anchor. Looking at the healthcare program websites, she felt simultaneously compelled and paralyzed. Each click of the mouse led to an unfamiliar territory, filled with unknown challenges and opportunities, and doubt arose viciously. Could she face the bureaucracy alone? What if she failed the initial applications, or worse, the program itself? Struggling against the tide of self-criticism, she took a deep breath. This was part of growth, wasn't it? She was pushing herself to confront fears she had hidden for too long. Reaching out for help did not indicate weakness, she reminded herself. It was a sign of courage and ambition. Mia closed her eyes briefly, silencing the cacophony of negativity, trying to focus on one thing, the thrill of potential. The burgeoning desires that had been flickering within her began to crackle as she opened her eyes, determination painting her thoughts. This was her moment. The risks, though daunting, could also lead to incredible rewards. Fueled by the prospect of mentorship and her urgency to embrace change, Mia felt ready to make that leap. No more waiting. Tomorrow she would set her plan in motion. But as sleep overtook her, a lingering question pressed into the corners of her mind. What if? She discovered that the path ahead was more challenging than she ever expected. In the quiet of night, the whisper of uncertainty intertwined with her dreams, wrapping themselves around an unmistakable truth. Stepping into the future would only heighten the stakes she faced. Would she have what it takes to navigate this complex landscape? Mia awoke the next morning feeling as though a weight had shifted overnight. Rising before the sun cast its golden hue over her room, she felt a sense of renewed energy pulsating through her. Today was the day she would take the plunge. After all, every great story had its challenges, and she was determined to write hers without hesitation. Seated at her cluttered desk, she opened her laptop with resolve, fingers poised over the keyboard. The homepage of the local hospital blinked back at her, radiating a warmth that steadied her nerves. She recalled her mother's encouraging voice from the night before, a beacon in her sea of self-doubt. What if reaching out could be an adventure that would transform her understanding of healthcare? She began to type, crafting. A message to the hospital's volunteer coordinator. Initially, her words flowed with a raw intensity, descriptions of her aspirations to learn and contribute to patient care dancing across the screen. But as she neared the end, the familiar tightening of anxiety crept in. What if her enthusiasm seemed juvenile? What if they ignored her message completely? The thoughts ensnared her like a trap, and she could feel her heart rate quicken. Suddenly, she stared at the cursor, blinking rhythmically as if it were mocking her hesitation. Time seemed to stretch, hanging palpably, heavily between the flickering light of the screen and her fluttering heart. No, she mused firmly, this is part of growth. It requires courage. Taking another deep breath, she allowed a sense of conviction to wash over her. With one decisive click, she fired off the email, sealing her commitment. That simple act ignited a fire within her, a rush of exhilaration and terror that she had never felt before. It was both liberating and daunting. Once the email was sent, moments turned into hours of restless anticipation. She paced her room, indulging her mind in vivid daydreams. She envisioned a mentor who would guide her, a success story of her own unfolding before her. Yet as enthusiasm bubbled within her, the anxiety resumed its familiar clutches. What if she never heard back? When the buzzing of her phone interrupted her thoughts, Mia nearly jumped. The familiar sound gripped her with tension as she glanced quickly at the screen. It was a notification from the email app. Her breath hitched in her throat as she opened it, eyes scanning the words frantically. "Dear Mia," it began. Her heart raced at the familiarity, the distance between reality and the ambitions swirling in her mind. The coordinator expressed appreciation for her enthusiasm, reflecting on the importance of mentorship. They were inviting her for an informational meeting, a conversation that could potentially lay the groundwork for her future. Beneath the elation, trepidation pricked at her certainty. How should she prepare for this meeting? What if it exposed all her shortcomings, drawing glaring attention to the cracks in her confidence? Yet another dilemma swirled within her. This opportunity could cultivate a connection she had longed for, but it also threatened to expose her vulnerabilities. Mia's mind raced through various possibilities as she jotted down questions and topics for discussion on a notepad. What attributes made a good mentor? How could she best convey her desire for growth? With each bullet point, she absorbed an increasing sense of purpose, a realization that this wasn't just about seeking guidance, it was about stepping into her identity and claiming her intentions. Just as she began to feel ready, a self-critical thought foisted itself into her mind. What if she wasn't enough? What if her dreams were too lofty? Her pencil paused mid-air, as if tethering her to that fear. It was devastatingly easy to slip into familiar patterns of insecurity. But in that moment of hesitation, she decided to confront her thoughts. Each apprehension was rooted in untested potential. They represented challenges, not confirmations of failure. She was stepping into a new version of herself, and it was time to embrace vulnerability as part of that journey. With her notes before her like armor, Mia felt a flicker of excitement reignite. She wasn't merely seeking validation, she was laying the groundwork for a partnership built on mutual growth and learning. After all, this wasn't just about achieving a medical career, it was about fostering resilience. As she settled into her bed that night, the anticipation of the next day loomed large. What revelations awaited her in that meeting? Would she truly find the connection she craved, or would it unravel her hopes further? With those thoughts swirling, an urgent realization struck her. It was time she faced what lay beyond the interrogative shadows of her mind. This meeting could shape her aspirations or change her perspective entirely, and that unpredictability thrilled her to her core. Would she be ready to embrace whatever unfolded? The dawn of a new day crept into Mia's room, washing over her like a gentle tide. But today it felt different. The anticipation that gripped her the previous evening had transformed into a focused determination. She rose from her bed and began mentally rehearsing for the meeting. Every step she took felt imbued with purpose as she prepared to navigate the uncharted waters of her personal aspirations. Arriving at the hospital, Mia's heart thudded as she approached the entrance, the grandeur of the building both thrilling and intimidating. Each passing nurse and doctor reminded her of the paths she yearned to explore. Inside, the bright lighting illuminated the glossy floors, but Mia felt cloaked in shades of uncertainty. What would the volunteer coordinator think of her? Would they see the fear that flickered behind her confident facade? As she was ushered into a small conference room, the smell of antiseptic mixed with coffee wafted through the air, grounding her in the moment. The coordinator, a woman with an inviting smile and warm eyes, introduced herself as Emily. "I'm so glad you could make it, Mia," she said, her tone genuine. "I read your email. Your passion for healthcare really shines through, and I admire your courage in reaching out." The compliment struck Mia with an unexpected force. It was one thing to write about her ambitions in private, but another to have them validated by a professional. It sparked a thrill of confidence as they began to discuss the details of the volunteer program. As Emily explained the various roles available, Mia felt a surge of excitement at each new possibility: assisting nurses, engaging with patients, learning hands-on skills. But as the conversation progressed, Mia's thoughts veered once more toward her insecurities. She wondered how she could truly make a difference when there were so many others more experienced. "Tell me, Mia," Emily interjected, sensing a shift in Mia's energy. "What brings you here? What are you hoping to achieve through volunteering?" It was a question that pierced Mia's anxiety. She took a moment, grappling with her inner hesitation. Finally, with a steady breath, she spoke. "I want to understand healthcare better, how it affects individuals and communities. I want to learn and grow, not just for myself, but to help those around me." Mia's voice shook, but also resonated with clarity. She was revealing not just her ambitions, but a deep-seated desire to impact lives. As she continued sharing her motivations, the uncertainty began to ebb away, replaced by the comforting realization that her vulnerability was an asset, not a liability. Emily nodded thoughtfully. "That's a beautiful intention. Remember, every impactful journey starts from the ground up. Volunteers are the heart of patient care. Your contributions matter, regardless of your level of experience." Mia absorbed those words like soothing balm, each syllable encouraging her efforts to reshape her narrative of self-doubt. The conversation meandered through logistics and expectations, but as they spoke, Emily kept returning to the importance of mentorship, emphasizing that learning could be a shared experience. By the end of their exchange, Mia felt her initial fears of exposure unraveling, replaced with excitement for the unknown journey ahead. Yet, just as she was about to thank Emily for the opportunity, a shadow of doubt crept in. What if she couldn't keep up? What if this was all simply a fleeting moment of hope? But this time, she was prepared. Mia didn't want her fears to stifle her any longer. Instead, she would confront them. "What can I do to ensure I'm making the most of this opportunity?" she asked, shifting the focus towards her proactive growth. Emily smiled, clearly impressed. "Great initiative, Mia. Embrace curiosity, seek feedback, reflect on your experiences, and don't hesitate to ask questions. Learning thrives in exploration." As the meeting came to a close, Mia felt a triumphant flush as she shook Emily's hand. For the first time, she was not just a passive dreamer, she was a participant poised to contribute. Yet, as she walked out of the hospital, an unsettling thought lingered in the back of her mind. Could she truly maintain this sense of courage in the face of challenges that lay ahead? Unsure, yet hungry for the journey, she glanced at her notebook, realizing it was no longer just a collection of questions, but rather a map for growth. With questions still clenching at her heart, she thought, was she ready to confront the setbacks that awaited her in the coming weeks? Would she be able to turn fear into fuel, a catalyst for change? The path ahead was filled with unknowns, and Mia was both terrified and exhilarated by the possibilities. Mia stood before her mirror,
her reflection revealing a girl transformed, no longer the girl weighed down by isolation, but a young woman determined to seize her future. The weeks that followed her initial meeting at the hospital unfolded like a series of fireworks, each experience
igniting newfound confidence and a craving for exploration. Her days were filled with challenges she once considered insurmountable. She dove headfirst into the volunteer program, shadowing nurses and assisting in small yet vital tasks. Gaining insights into patient care shaped her perspective, unveiling the realities of healthcare that transcended her previous understanding. The thrill of each shift invigorated her spirit as she learned to balance her time between her mother's needs and her drive to excel. Nights were spent studying the intricacies of human anatomy while her mother rested nearby, their routine now rife with aspirations rather than just obligations. Mia had found a rhythm, fueled by purpose rather than fear, layered with hope instead of despair. The long hours were demanding, no doubt, but fueled by every smile she received from patients ignited a fire within her. And still, her first major test arrived sooner than expected, a presentation at the hospital on the importance of empathy in patient care. Standing before her colleagues, she realized she wasn't just sharing information, she was stepping into her identity, showcasing her growth and capabilities. As she spoke, the nervousness that coiled in her stomach melted away, replaced by a radiant confidence. The applause that followed wasn't just for her content, it was a recognition of her journey, a heartfelt acknowledgement of a girl who dared to dream. "Congratulations, Mia," Emily beamed afterward, her pride unmistakable. "Your ability to connect with your audience reflects your deep understanding of the field. You have a unique voice. Don't ever underestimate it." Validation swelled in her chest, crystallizing what she had begun to feel internally, a strong sense of purpose blossoming within the soil of determination. Each compliment was a thread that wove together her past struggles and ambitions into a vibrant tapestry of achievement. But despite these accomplishments, doubts occasionally flickered on the edges of her mind like unmanned shadows. The fear of letting her mother down lurked behind every success. One evening, after a particularly hard day at the hospital, Mia found herself gazing out at the twinkling stars, the cool night air momentarily stilling her racing thoughts. "Mom," she began hesitantly, her mother's presence beside her grounding her. "I really want to go to the college this fall and pursue my degree in medicine. I think it will lead to something significant, not just for me but for us. I can make a bigger difference." Her mother turned to face her, the weight of expectation mirrored in her own eyes. "Mia, you've grown, I've seen it, but it means you'll have to juggle, and I worry about managing things alone." Mia's heart fluttered, each word exchanged building a bridge over the chasm of doubt. "I understand that, but I promise I'll find a way to balance it. We can help each other. I think these changes will empower us, not separate us." The sincerity in her mother's eyes eased the tension between them. After a long silence, her mother finally spoke, pride softening her features. "You deserve to chase your dreams, sweetheart. Don't hold back. I want you to reach those stars." The conversation cemented a pivotal turning point. With her mother's blessings, Mia's resolve solidified. The following week, alongside submitting her applications for scholarships and college, she reached out to ask if she could mentor others in the volunteer program. Weeks melted into months, each day layered with new insights and a quiet determination that gave her purpose. When acceptance letters started spilling in, the euphoria of accomplishment cascaded through Mia. As the months waned, she stood transformed. In her heart, she understood this momentum would ripple not just within her, but to those she would impact in the future. On the final day of her volunteer stint, she stood amidst her peers and shared her journey. From the depths of insecurities to an affirmed vision of a life dedicated to healing and compassion. The world needs those willing to stand up for their dreams, but also to lift others, she declared, the applause washing over her like a warm embrace. It wasn't just a capstone of her growth, it was a lesson learned and shared. Mia was prepared for her college Hail Mary as she embraced the uncertainty ahead.
She claimed that the balance of time spent with family and her dreams would steer her toward a future brimming with hope. The spark of desire ignited long ago had morphed into a beacon, illuminating her path forward now clearer and more resolute than ever. With a heart now brimming with possibilities, Mia stepped into her future, no longer timid, but prepared. She was ready to conquer the world. Now it's your moment to make a difference. Subscribe immediately to the channel to unlock the next exclusive emotional stories that inspire transformation. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help more people discover these life-changing tales. Comment with your thoughts and theories about Mia's incredible journey. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to feel that spark of hope that only true personal overcoming stories can ignite. Your support means everything.